Hello and welcome to GameSack. Today I'm going to take a look at the new Mega Everdrive Pro from krikzz, or at least it's new at the time I'm making this episode. Anyway, this is a flash cart for your Genesis and or Mega Drive, and it offers up some cool new features over the rest of the Mega Everdrive line. In fact, the closest thing that it can be compared to is the Mega SD from Terraonion, but we'll talk about how these two compare to each other a little later in the video. For now, let's focus on the Mega Everdrive itself. The Mega Everdrive Pro is the top-of-the-line flash cart for the Genesis or Mega Drive from krikzz. Just fill your micro SD card with ROMs, insert it into the cartridge, and plug it into your Genesis or whatever. You're greeted with the standard Everdrive menu. If you've used any of the Everdrive products in the past, this will feel very familiar. It's quite basic and simple, but it works. You can organize your games into folders any way you want, just as long as they're outside of the Mega folder, which is where the Everdrive OS lives on the SD card. Once you find a game that you want to play, hit A to bring up a menu where you decide what to do with your life at that point. If you want to start the game, just hit A again and the game will be on screen after only a second or two. Then you'll be happily playing your game. Or you could enter the cheat menu and apply Game Genie style cheats. Inputting a cheat code is pretty easy. Make sure to turn it on, back out of the menu, and then start your game. There are some extra options you can configure if you press C while in the menu, most of which are self-explanatory. The in-game combo option allows you to customize your button commands if you have the in-game menu set to on. This way you can set up a command to quickly do a save state in the game. Here I've selected up and start. You can also choose which button combination brings up the in-game menu. Here, while playing eSWAT, I did a quick save at the top of this building. I then dropped down to fight the boss. Let's pretend that it's not going well for me because the stage 1 boss is way too much for my gaming skills and I just want to try again. I just pressed down and start since that's how I have it set up, and suddenly I'm back where I made the save state. Now I can try that super tough stage 1 boss again. I did have some issues with this game trying to do it again, and eventually it froze. In many games like Whip Rush here, when you resume a save state, the sound may be from the wrong level or even all messed up. This is pretty much normal for save states using a real Genesis, since the Z80 CPU state doesn't get saved. Usually the music will fix itself when you get to an area where the music changes though. I did have other issues, like when I opened the in-game menu in Monster World 4 and chose to manually save my state. The game suddenly crashed into a permanent black screen. Here's something cool though. In the Everdrive menu, if you go into the Mega folder, then into Saves, then into SMD Snap, you can see a preview of where you saved each game. This is awesome, but it only works for Genesis games. Some games like Elemental Master, Thunder Force 4, and a few others won't allow you to do a quick save or access the in-game menu simply because of how these particular games work. Virtua Racing works on the Mega Everdrive Pro and it runs fine. This is the only Genesis game which has an enhancement chip on it. The FPGA inside of the Everdrive is powerful enough to handle this game with ease. It will even play the 64 meg Pure Solar. However, it won't play it with the enhanced audio without a real Sega CD and a Pure Solar disc. Of course, the Mega Everdrive Pro will play Sega Master System games and they run fine, mostly. You can also assign an in-game menu prompt for the Master System games. I suggest using both buttons and a direction since the Master System has no start button. Even then, you still might accidentally trigger the in-game menu as some games need you to press both buttons for magic or whatnot. Still, if you're careful, it works. Here I am in the title screen of Shinobi and I just warped straight to stage 2 where I saved my state. There's no quick save option available here, you have to enter the menu. Accessing the in-game menu on Master System games doesn't work on one-chip Genesises. So basically, you won't be able to have these special features on some Genesis Model 2s, Genesis Model 3s, and what have you. You can actually assign Genesis buttons like A and Start to use to call up the Master System in-game menu. I mean, this is good because Master System games don't use those buttons, right? Well, the problem is that once the Master System game is running, the console ignores the A and the Start button, so it doesn't work. It really is too bad. There's also an option to engage FM expansion audio on Master System games that support it, like Shinobi. But yeah, it's not working at all for some reason. And it's not just this game, it doesn't work at all. It does using the Mega Everdrive X7, so go figure. Though I'm pretty sure this is probably going to be fixed soon. The Mega Everdrive Pro can even play Sega CD games without the need for a real Sega CD. That's what makes this thing professional. Simply navigate to your CD game and... yeah. So, it turns out that most of the Sega CD game dumps out there use multiple bins and one queue file. The Mega Everdrive Pro wants to see only one bin plus a queue. I had to hunt to find images like this, but I found them. There are a few options for the Mega CD in the menu. I find it best to make sure they're all turned on. The CD games play fine for the most part. Of course, you'll need to provide your own CD BIOS files. CD and PCM audio both seem balanced, and saving your game normally also works. Most FMV games like Road Avenger played fine with no issue. Tomcat Alley also performed well, and thank goodness. You can't have the Sega CD without Tomcat Alley. I'm being sarcastic in case you can't tell. However, I did experience an issue with Sewer Shark where the FMV audio was extremely skippy and nasty.
Relax. Pretend it's a game. Maybe it'll even be fun. Shut the tubes, dog meat!
However, krikzz made a tweet suggesting that later revisions of the game don't have this issue. I also got a few brief audio dropouts during the opening cartoon in Popful Mail.
Get ready for the big surprise!
The speed of the scaling in the gameplay is the same as real hardware in games like Batman Returns. Same with the awesome scaling graphics in Soulstar. So, are the load times quicker than a real Sega CD? A little bit, but you probably won't notice. The extra long loading time at the beginning of Willy Beamish is about 12 seconds faster than it is on real hardware, but this game is extremely unoptimized. For most games, you might save a fraction of a second on standard load times. The 3-second load time at the beginning of Soulstar is still 3 seconds on the Mega Everdrive Pro. It should also be noted that there are no save states, no access to the in-game menu, or cheats available for CD games. You can power up the Sega CD if it's attached from the Everdrive, which will then act like a RAM card. However, you can't run any CD games from the Mega Everdrive Pro with a real Sega CD attached, so disconnect it. The Mega Everdrive Pro will play 32X games, but of course you will need to have a real 32X hooked up to your Genesis or Mega Drive. 32X CD games are not supported even with a 32X attached though, nor can you play any CD games with a 32X attached. Oh, and you know what else the Mega Everdrive Pro can do? That's right, it can play NES games. Now this is why I bought my 16-bit Genesis back in 1989. I kid, but this is actually really neat. I assume the FPGA inside of the cart translates the NES sprites and backgrounds into Genesis sprites and backgrounds, as well as executing program code and sound. But that's just a guess. Playing NES games on your Genesis is pretty crazy. Castlevania works perfectly. Yeah, the colors aren't exact since the Genesis color palette isn't a match for what the NES has, but playing this game with my 6-button Genesis pad is actually quite refreshing. They did well with the button mapping. The Genesis C is the NES A, B is B, A is select, and start is start. In addition to some close but not correct colors, most games will have some funky audio. Other games may have visible glitches as you play, and you'll be getting this screen with a lot of games. So while this is definitely fun to mess around with, it's no replacement for the real thing. Oh, and there are no cheats, save states, or access to the in-game menu for NES games. So that's the gist of the Mega Everdrive Pro as it currently stands with its version 4.00 firmware. Now, the Mega SD came out last year, and I was really surprised how fast krikzz was able to make the Mega Everdrive Pro. This cost $199 US, whereas the Mega SD costs about $262 US. So what's the difference? I don't know. Actually, I do. Let's take a look. First off, the Mega Everdrive Pro is smaller than the Mega SD, which comes in a cartridge shaped like Virtua Racing. The Mega Everdrive Pro has a USB slot for all of your fun development activities. Also, I'm using the same SD card on both flash carts. It's easy to insert and remove the SD card on the Mega Everdrive Pro. It's easy to insert the SD card on the Mega SD, but you really have to dig in there with your thumb and hope your thumbnail is long enough to pop it out. It can be slightly frustrating. The pause button for Master System games is right on top of the Mega Everdrive Pro. On the Mega SD, it's on the side. Now this is personal preference, but I find the button easier to locate at a glance on the Mega Everdrive Pro and it's easier to press. The menu on the Mega SD is far more sophisticated compared to the Mega Everdrive Pro. Snapshots from each game can be displayed if you put the work into creating them. I think some people have made an image pack available to download, but I really haven't kept up with that. Scrolling through the list of games also seems faster on the Mega SD. One thing I really like about the Mega SD's menu is that if I'm at the beginning or the end of a list, I can just press up or down to be instantly taken to the other end. This makes navigating the list much easier in my opinion. Unfortunately, the Mega Everdrive Pro doesn't currently offer this. There are many more options in the Mega SD's menu, especially when it comes to the CD games. However, the Mega Everdrive Pro has a real-time clock! The only functionality that this seems to offer is to timestamp your save states and whatnot. The time to boot up a Genesis game from the menu is about the same, though the Mega SD shows some ROM information first instead of the ROM options that the Mega Everdrive Pro shows. The Mega Everdrive Pro has 100 save slots for each game, whereas the Mega SD has 8. Both flash carts can run Virtua Racing without any issue at all. However, the Mega SD will run pure solar with the enhanced audio, whereas the Mega Everdrive Pro will not. The Mega Everdrive Pro features save states for Master System games, while the Mega SD does not. However, this feature is slated to appear on the Mega SD soon. You can dump all of your single bin and queue CD games into a single folder on the Mega Everdrive Pro. On the Mega SD, each CD game needs to be in its own folder. As a result, the Mega SD can easily run the more common multi-bin rips as well as ISO plus WAVE or pretty much anything. This makes getting your games up and running much easier. The Mega Everdrive Pro does not feature cheats for CD games, but the Mega SD does. However, I need to admit that inputting cheats on the Mega SD feels kind of glitchy sometimes, and working codes for CD games are hard to come by. This code for Unlimited Rings and Sonic CD works great though, so the potential is definitely there. Calling up the in-game menu means you can back out to the Mega SD menu from a CD game. The load time for CD games is roughly the same between the two products, give or take a frame or two. If you disable the Emulate Seek Time option on the Mega SD, it will usually be a little bit faster than the Mega Everdrive Pro on quick loads. The Willy Beamish load time is about 6 seconds faster on the Mega SD than it is on the Mega Everdrive Pro, which itself is 12 seconds faster than a real Sega CD. One thing that's definitely neat about the Mega SD is support for MD Plus games. This is where a cartridge game has been modified and the music replaced with CD quality audio. Seamless loop points can be set by the author, which means there's no break as the track restarts like on a real CD game. You can even have it fade out as the scene ends and the screen fades out. Unfortunately, these do not work at all on the Mega Everdrive Pro. If you try one, this is the result. The Mega SD can play music CD images and even CD plus G disc images. The Mega Everdrive Pro can't play audio disc images or sound files at all. The FM audio on Master System games works and sounds great on the Mega SD. Again, I'm sure this will be fixed pretty soon on the Mega Everdrive Pro. Both flash carts can run so-called Mode 1 CDs to replace the cartridge music with CD audio. Again, you need to make sure you have a single bin file if you want to run it on the Mega Everdrive Pro. The Mega SD seems to be at least a little bit more compatible with games right now. For example, it plays back the same revision of Sewer Shark that the Mega Everdrive Pro had issues on, more or less fine.
Relax. Pretend it's a game. Maybe it'll even be fun. Shoot the tubes, dog meat!
However, the Mega SD can't play NES games. Whether or not that's important is your decision. So both cartridges have their strengths and weaknesses. The Mega SD can certainly do more with the Sega library, at least at the moment, but it also costs a bit more. It's up to you if you feel the extra features are worth it.
Evasive maneuver! Evasive maneuver! Laser scratching!
Well, that's the Mega Everdrive Pro for you. I'm sure in the future that it will be able to accept multi-bin images as well as have other minor fixes and tweaks. It'll be interesting to see how it grows, and it will. I am glad that there is competition between this and the Mega SD. Competition ultimately makes better products all around. So what do you think? Are you interested in getting either of these flash carts? These are both great products. Let me know. In the meantime, thank you for watching GameSack. See that? Some good hand-eye coordination there. I'm going to do it again. Awesome. One more time. I kick ass. Who, me?
Yeah, you! Who are you?
I'm a professional, that's who.
Do you enjoy the Mega Everdrive?
Ew, no, this thing is for filthy amateurs.
Well, why not try the Mega Everdrive Pro?
Now this is more like it. A professional Everdrive for a professional like myself.
The Mega Everdrive Pro is your profession.
You can tell I'm a professional because I have the Mega Everdrive Pro, a PlayStation 4 Pro, and also pro wrestling on the Sega Master System.
You're a professional.